Hello, sports fans. It is Tuesday, September the 13th, the year 2016, and we are ready for NFL picks in week number 2 in the league where they play for pay. And let's get right to it. I was 8-4 straight up against the spread last week. Can't complain about that, especially in week 1. I even covered with the Chargers. No one liked them last week, so 8-4, I will take that each and every week. Got a little unlucky with my teaser. Arizona missed a field goal with no time left. Got a little unlucky there, but 8-4 straight up against the spread. You can't complain about that. You'll take that each and every week. Let's get to week number 2. Let's go to the Thursday night game, and it is one of these games. The Buffalo Bills at home. Pick them with the New York Jets. I mean, both teams are 0-1. The Bills lost to Baltimore 13-7. The offense could do nothing. Taylor inconsistent at quarterback. The Bills' offense is atrocious. Now their best receiver is nursing an injury, so you're not going to get a lot of points from the Bills. You know they have a good defense, but they can't score. They are home. Jets lost a very tough game to Cincinnati. Fitzpatrick, the pick late. I don't love Fitzpatrick, but it's the best the Jets have right now. I mean, Geno Smith, forget about him. The Jets don't have a better quarterback. I mean, Fitzpatrick is it. You're going to have to live with him. I don't like him either. This is a very tough game. I usually don't follow the spread, but I'm following it here. The Jets opened up as a 3-point dog. Now it's down to pick 'em. I'm going to take the Jets here because I was more impressed with the Jets last week than the Bills. Despite the Jets losing, they were right in the game, had a chance to get down the field late. Fitzpatrick throws the interception. That was a back-and-forth game, and Cincinnati is a good team. Buffalo could do nothing against Baltimore. And listen, Baltimore can play some good defense, especially at home. But Buffalo's offense was atrocious. Taylor was absolutely awful. He's very inconsistent at quarterback. Both teams have a very good defense here. This should be a low-scoring, knock them out, drag them out, fight for every yard type of game. I mean, this is a game you got to think is going under. I didn't check the over and under, but you got to think it's going to be a very close, low-scoring game. I think the Jets are a little better. I don't love Fitzpatrick, but I think he's a little better than Taylor. Taylor is way too inconsistent for me. He has one dynamite game, and then he looks terrible for a couple games. I mean, he did nothing last week. I think the Jets are a hair better. I know the game is in Buffalo. It's a short week. I usually like those home teams on Thursday night. It's not a big travel week for the Jets. They just got to get up to Buffalo. I'm going to take the Jets here. It is a tough game. This is a game, I mean, I don't know if you want to bet this game, but I am going to take the Jets, pick them over the Bills up in Buffalo. That's pick number 1. Very difficult game. Let's get to the Sunday games. The Detroit Lions are 1-0, and they are 5.5-point favorites against Tennessee, who is 0-1. Detroit home here. Detroit beat Indianapolis. They looked really good on offense. Detroit really moved the ball up and down the field, came back late and won the game. Stafford looked really good. Was really impressed with Detroit winning that game. I did not think they were going to win it. Not that the Colts are great, but I didn't know what to expect from Detroit this year without Johnson. But their offense didn't miss a beat last week. They were on fire. Stafford did a lot of nice things, so nice win for Detroit. Tennessee lost to Minnesota. I had a feeling this was going to happen. Everyone jumped off the Minnesota bandwagon when Bridgewater got hurt. Listen, Minnesota's still going to be a good team. And Tennessee is not ready. They are just not ready for anything big. They're one of the worst teams in the league. Mariota has some ability, but they got all sorts of issues. I think Detroit is going to handle Tennessee here at home. I like what I saw from Detroit last week. I think they're going to be able to move the ball against Tennessee. This is Detroit's home opener. I can't trust Tennessee on the road. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. And I know Detroit's flaky and all that, but I just cannot trust Tennessee on the road. Can't do it. They showed me very little last week. I will take Detroit here at home, minus 5.5 against Tennessee. I think Detroit gets to 2-0 at home. Pick number 3, let's go down to Houston, where the Houston Texans are -2 against the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a very tough game. Both teams 1-0. Houston beat Chicago. They struggled early, pulled away late. Kansas City was down 27-10 to the Chargers in the second half and came back and won. Great job coming back by Kansas City. That's a big indictment to San Diego. We'll get to them in a second. Typical San Diego, by the way. This is a very tough game. I mean, how in the world do you pick this game? I remember these teams played last year early in the year, and Kansas City beat up Houston. I think this is a better Houston team. Houston's going to remember what Kansas City did to them. I don't know if Charles is even going to be back for Kansas City this week. I think Houston's defense is going to carry the day. If Houston gets ahead, there's going to be no 27-10 comebacks this week, Kansas City, against this Houston defense. Maybe against San Diego you can pull that. Not against Houston. They're a solid defensive team. I like Houston's defense. I think they're a little better on offense this year. They're in their building. Kansas City's got a couple little injuries here. We don't know about Charles. I'm going to take Houston. It's a very, very good game. It's a very tough game. I'll take Houston -2 at home against the Chiefs. That's pick number 3. Pick number 4, let's go up to New England, where the New England Patriots are -6.5 against the Miami Dolphins. Patriots, of course, do it again. They beat Arizona. Arizona misses a field goal at the gun. No Brady, no Gronkowski. New England was missing one of their best defensive linemen who's suspended for the first 4 games. No problem. They still find a way to win on the road against a very good team. That's typical New England. They find guys all the time. I mean, I just cannot believe the job New England does. With all those guys out, they go into Arizona and beat a good Cardinal team. It's like they just don't miss a beat with all these guys out. Miami lost an absolute heartbreaker to Seattle. Seattle scores late in the game to win. I thought that game was going to be a blowout. Miami really hung in there. Seattle, not impressed with them at all last week. We'll get to them down the road. But as far as this game, listen, I can't go against New England. I just cannot do it. I still think Miami is going to be a bad team, despite being very competitive out in Seattle. I don't trust them. New England, listen, they always come through for you. No matter who's in the lineup, you just can't go against them. They always find a way. They're always in the mix. You're going to look up this year. They're going to be 12-4 again and one of the top 2 seeds in the AFC. I guarantee you that they'll be in the hunt this year. Got to go with New England here. Still don't trust Miami. Have to see more from them. And New England, it's just a hard team to pick against. They always are there for you. I'll take New England -6.5 at home against the Dolphins as pick number 4. Pick number 5, let's go to Cleveland. Oh, boy. The Baltimore Ravens are -7 at the Cleveland Browns. Baltimore 1-0, beat Buffalo last week at home. Defense looked tremendous. Cleveland 0-1, got bombed by Philadelphia. Griffin hurt again, out maybe the rest of the year. So it's either going to be McCown or the rookie Kessler at quarterback. Cleveland could very well be the worst team in the league by far. They're that bad. Now they lose Griffin. He's always hurt. Cleveland doesn't have that much. I mean, we'll see if Kessler even gets in the lineup. He's the rookie quarterback they drafted. Imagine throwing him into the fire in this mess. I mean, I don't know if we're going to get him. Maybe we'll get McCown this week. I know the spread's 7. I know it's in the Dog Pound, one of my favorite stadiums. I know Baltimore doesn't score a lot of points in general, especially on the road. But can you really take Cleveland here? I mean, can you really take them? They just look so awful. They got bombed by Philadelphia, and Philadelphia was starting a rookie quarterback, and they coughed them up. I mean, I cannot trust Cleveland. I mean, I know Baltimore is shaky on the road giving this many points. This game could be like a 17-3 game. Cleveland may only get 3 points. They just can't do anything. They're an awful team. I'll take Baltimore. They're just better. Baltimore -7 in the Dog Pound. That's pick number 5. Pick number 6, let's go to the Steel City Heinz Field, where the Pittsburgh Steelers are -3 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Both teams 1-0. Bengals beat the Jets on the road. Steelers, very impressive last night in Washington. The Steelers were down 6-0 early in this game. They fumble the ball. Washington fumbles it right back, and then the Steelers go down the field from there, take a 7-6 lead, and dominated the rest of the way and pulled away. That's what I wanted to see from Pittsburgh. They sometimes dominate the game on the road, and you look up, and it's a 1-point game. They put Washington away last night. The Steeler offense looks really good. They have a lot of good young receivers that are in the lineup now. They're going to get Bell back. The key to the Steelers is their defense. It looked better last night. If they get any sort of pass rush and anything out of that secondary, the Steelers are going to be one of the contenders this year. Cincinnati also a solid team. I just like Pittsburgh here at home. Cincinnati, very tough job for them to win back-to-back tough road games. They already beat the Jets. Now you expect them to go into Pittsburgh and win again. I like the Steelers at home. It's only 3. This is a big rivalry, but I really like what I saw from Pittsburgh last night. I know it's a short week, but they do go home. I think this is a very good game, but I think Pittsburgh pulls it out by about 4 points. I like Pittsburgh -3 at home against Cincinnati. That's pick number 6. Pick number 7. Let's go down to D.C. for a classic NFC East rivalry game where the Washington Redskins are -3 against the Dallas Cowboys. Washington 0-1. Like I said, they got pushed around by Pittsburgh in their own building last night. Dallas 0-1 lost a heartbreaking game to the Giants. I mean, I'll tell you, these Giant-Dallas games are wild every year. Dallas gets into field goal range at the end, but the receiver can't get out of bounds. The clock runs out, and Dallas again with another heartbreaking loss. How many games has Dallas lost over the last couple of years in just heartbreaking, horrific fashion? I thought the rookie quarterback for Dallas played well. I thought the line played well. They just didn't finish their drives. When you settle for field goals in this league, this day and age, it's going to come back to bite you. You can't be kicking field goals, 4 times in a row. That's not going to get it done. Need touchdowns in this league. Very tough game. NFC's classic game. These two teams just go at it all the time. I'm going to reluctantly take Washington, and if you like Dallas, I can't argue with you. I'm going to take Washington. I think they're embarrassed by their performance last night. And if they lose this game, that's 0-2 at home. This is very desperate times for Washington. And I still don't know about the Dallas rookie quarterback. We haven't seen him on the road yet in hostile territory. How is he going to perform? He looked pretty good last week, Prescott. How is he going to do on the road? I'm going to take Washington reluctantly here. Couldn't argue with you if you like Dallas. But Dallas lately seems to always find a way to lose these games. I'm going to take Washington -3 in D.C. against Dallas in a classic NFC East showdown. That's pick number 7. Pick number 8. Let's go to the Meadowlands in New Jersey. Not too far from here, where the New York Giants are -4.5 against the New Orleans Saints. Giants 1-0, held on and beat Dallas. New Orleans 0-1, blew a huge lead and lost to Oakland. Missed a field goal at the gun. Terrible loss for New Orleans. I'm not a big fan of the Saints. Now, Drew Brees played well last week, but I am not a fan of the Saints. I don't like their defense, so I'm not a big lover of the Saints anymore. Giants pulled it out at the end last week. They are going home. I think the Giant offense can do some things against the Saint defense, especially here in New York. I like the Giants here at home, -4 against New Orleans Saints. I'm not a big believer in the Saints, especially on the road. I think the Giant offense, led by Eli and Beckham, will have their way, and they'll score some points. I like the Giants here. That's pick number 8. Pick number 9. Let's go down to Carolina, where the Carolina Panthers are -14 against the San Francisco 49ers. Carolina 0-1, lost a heartbreaker to Denver, where they missed a field goal at the end. I mean, just a heartbreaking loss for Carolina. San Francisco 1-0, and they just blasted St. Louis last night, 28-0. Nice job by the Rams. Ouch. I mean, awful performance by St. Louis. I said it. I knew I was going to say it. Awful performance by L.A. I got to get used to saying that. L.A. was awful. We'll get to them in a second. But San Francisco, they dominated this game. Shut out the Rams. Unbelievable. But remember, the Niners last year in Week 1 blew out Minnesota. And look how that turned out. The Niners turned out to be an awful team. Minnesota was a good team. I still think the Niners are a bad team. I'll tell you, the Niners quarterback last night, he can really run. I don't know if he can throw, but he can run really fast. The Niners could do no wrong last night, but now they're going into hostile territory. Carolina coming off a bitter loss. We think Carolina is going to be one of the contenders for sure. I mean, we definitely think Carolina is going to be one of the contenders in the NFC. San Francisco's got to go across the country. I mean, come on. I mean, this is asking a lot for the Niners. I know it's 14 points. I still like Carolina. This has 34-13 written all over it. Carolina, they had an extra few days rest off the Thursday night game, off a loss coming home. The Niners, a short week, one on Monday Night Football, got to go across the country against an angry bunch of Panthers. Niners got to show me that they can do it back-to-back games. I don't trust them at all. I still think they're going to be a bad team. They looked good last night. That's all great. They did the same thing last year. I think the Niners fall flat on their face here. I think Carolina rebounds in a big way. Carolina -14 at home against the Niners. That's pick number 9. I think the score will be 34-13. Pick number 10. Let's go to the desert in Arizona, where the Arizona Cardinals are -6.5 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Arizona lost a heartbreaker in New England. They missed a field goal at the gun. They really should have won that game. Tampa Bay beat Atlanta and did it in convincing fashion. Nice job by Tampa Bay. I'll tell you, Tampa Bay is one of those teams that keeps covering, and you just don't think they're any good, but they keep covering and covering. They're in all these games. Winston looks like a solid quarterback. He really does. Tampa Bay's an improving team. I'm going to take Tampa Bay here. I can't believe I'm doing it on the road, but they've been covering for me. Last week and the end of last year, they've been covering for me. Arizona, I don't love their cornerbacks. Their secondary, besides Peterson, is a little light. They don't have a lot of good cover guys. And on offense, they look for the home run ball all the time. If they don't get that, they kind of get frustrated. I think Tampa Bay can hang around in this game. Do I think Arizona wins? Yes, but I think Tampa Bay can hang around, maybe get a backdoor cover. I'm going to take a shot. I'll take Tampa Bay plus 6.5 in Arizona. That's pick number 10. Pick number 11. Let's go to Los Angeles. Let me get that correct. Let me go to Los Angeles, where the LA Rams are having their first home game out in the Coliseum. They will be playing in the Coliseum where USC plays until their new stadium is built. The Seattle Seahawks are minus 3.5 at the LA Rams. Seattle 1-0, barely beat Minnesota and did not look good doing it. Seattle beat Miami last week 12-10. Seattle's offense was absolutely atrocious last week. I mean, they could not move the ball from here to there. Were lucky to pull the game out against Miami. Russell Wilson is nursing a sprained ankle now, so his mobility is going to be limited. They don't have a lot of weapons, Seattle. Remember just a couple years ago when they dominated the Super Bowl? They're not the same team anymore. They still have a good defense. Their offense is very shaky. You saw that last year. They don't make a lot of big explosive plays, Seattle. So Seattle's offense struggling. The Rams, speaking of struggling offenses, how bad were the Rams last night? They set football back 450 years. No points against the Niners. The Ram quarterback was atrocious. You can't just rely on Gurley. They were supposed to be more explosive this year. They did nothing. And what about this great front seven for the Ram defense? Where were they last night? Hyde was running all over them last night. And I'll tell you what, Fisher better get it together. Because if he has another couple performances like that, he is out. The Rams are, changing out to LA, new stadium coming soon. Fisher could be out very soon if he keeps this up. He, to me, is on the hot seat already. That performance last night set football back 450 years. That's how bad it was. So, Fisher, get your act together. The Rams better show some pride this week. Now, here's the thing I was looking up last night. Most NFL teams through the years that have been shut out come back the next week and not only cover but win the game. I went back a bunch of years. Most teams that get shut out, believe it or not, the next week, because they're embarrassed and their pride is hurt, they come back the next week and not only cover but win the game. So I'm going to go back on the Rams. I know I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm going to take the Rams at home plus 3.5. Crowd should be electric in LA. Rams have to be embarrassed. They got to be up for this game. Fisher, he's got to get this team going or he's going to be gone. Seattle, the good defense, they can't really score a lot of points. So I'm going to grab a home team plus 3.5. Seattle, I think this is going to be like a 17-16 game or something like that. So I'll grab the Rams plus 3.5 here. Should be a very low-scoring game because I don't think either team can score. Rams, show me something this week. I'll tell you, Fisher, get it together or you're going to be out of here. All right, so I'll take the Rams there. That's pick number 11. Pick number 12, let's go out to Denver, where the Denver Broncos are minus 6 against the Indianapolis Colts. Denver 1-0. What else is new? They beat Carolina, find a way to win, get the big turnover late. Same old story as Denver. They just find a way to win, especially with their defense. Indianapolis, bad loss at home to Detroit. Defense got carved up. Here's what we know about Denver. They always find a way to win, and the game is always close. So I'm going to take Indianapolis plus 6 here. I'm sure Denver will find a way to win by 3-4 points. They'll have a key turnover late. But they always seem to be in these close games down to the end. So I will think it'll be kept close. I'll take a shot with the Colts here. I wasn't all impressed with the Colts, but I love Luck. I don't like going against Luck. I think he can keep him in the game. I think Denver wins, but it's a close game. I like Denver at home, minus 6 against Indianapolis. That's pick number 12. Pick number 13, let's go out to the black hole in Oakland, where the Oakland Raiders are minus 4.5 against the Atlanta Falcons. Oakland 1-0. They just came storming back and beat New Orleans. Went for 2 points at the end. Jack Del Rio says, no, we don't want the extra point. Let's go for 2 and win it here. They get it. They win. Great gutty win by the Raiders. Atlanta 0-1. Lost at home to Tampa Bay. I'll tell you, same old Atlanta. can't score in the red zone, all sorts of problems defensively. This looks like the Atlanta from last year. I don't like Atlanta at all, and I don't like them here. I think Oakland, with that win last week, is going to build some momentum. They're coming home. I think this is a great pick here. I like Oakland -4 against the Falcons. I don't like the Falcons at all, and I think they're going into a hornet's nest this week. And I very rarely say that about the Raiders, but I think the Raiders, coming off that improbable comeback last week, are going to be riding high, and they are going to bury Atlanta, who has a long trip across the country to go to the black hole. And how I love those fans out there in Oakland with their Darth Vader outfits and all their great stuff they wear out there. I think Oakland is one of the best picks of the week. I like Oakland at home, -4.5 against the Falcons. That's pick number 13. Pick number 14. Here's a beautiful game. I mean, do I really have to pick this game? The San Diego Chargers at home, -3 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh, my. San Diego 0-1, lost to Kansas City, blew a 21-3 lead, blew a 27-10 lead, lost in overtime, typical San Diego, lost their best receiver, Allen, for the year. So San Diego, they just can't get out of their own way. They will find a way to lose each and every time. Jacksonville 0-1, lost a tough game to Green Bay, and I'll tell you what, the play calling at the end of the game, Jacksonville is deep in Green Bay territory. They have a 4th and 1, and they throw a 0-yard pass. How I can't stand that when teams throw passes before the first down marker. You have 1 yard to get, and you are throwing a 0-yard pass, and the guy got tackled. He couldn't break the tackle. Game over. Throw a 1-yard pass so when the guy catches it, he's at least got the first down. You're relying on him to break a tackle and get the first down. Why do teams continually do this? I don't understand the play calling at all. I don't understand what some of these coaches are doing. Some of these coaches just live at the office 24 hours a day. Why would you throw on 4th and 1 a 0-yard pass? I don't get it. Just like I didn't get last night why Antonio Brown was being covered by Washington's second-best corner. I don't understand why the Redskins weren't using their best corner against Antonio Brown. I just don't understand it. I mean, what in the world was going on last night? I mean, shouldn't Washington have their best corner on Antonio Brown? Isn't that why you got the best corner from Carolina, to cover these type of guys? So I don't understand it. But getting back to Jacksonville, what a terrible play call last week. As far as this game, this is an absolute disaster. This is a mess. I mean, what in the world do you do here? San Diego finds new and creative ways to lose each and every week. Lost their best receiver. They're always in these wild affairs every week, San Diego. They do play well against Jacksonville, usually always beat them. The quarterback usually has a field day, Rivers, against Jacksonville. Jacksonville, to me, looks improved, but again, you can't trust them. Since I don't know what to do here, I'll take Jacksonville +3, and I'm sure I'm going to pay for this. But I will take Jacksonville here +3 over San Diego, just because I don't know what to do with this game, and I'll just take the points and go from there. But I'm sure I'll pay for that pick. So I'll take Jacksonville +3 in San Diego. It's pick number 14. Pick number 15, let's go to Minnesota, where I believe this is the Sunday night game. The Green Bay Packers are -2.5 against the Minnesota Vikings. Green Bay, like I mentioned, 1-0, held on to beat Jacksonville. Minnesota 1-0, beat Tennessee. Bradford looks like he will get the start for Minnesota. Minnesota, new stadium this year. And it's a dome, and I hear it is very, very loud. So Minnesota should be flying at home this week. These are two very good teams. I still expect Minnesota to be a very good team. When there's two very good teams and I see a home team getting points on the road, I will take the home team. So I'm going to take Minnesota in their new stadium, which is very loud, I hear, and they should be flying at home. I'm going to grab them with the 2 points. I think this is a very close game, 24-23 somebody. I'll take Minnesota at home +2.5 in a must-watch game. Great game there. Tremendous game, but I'll take the Vikings there. It's pick number 15. Pick number 16, Monday night game. Here's another strange game. The Chicago Bears at home, -3 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Chicago 0-1, lost to Houston. Philadelphia 1-0, looked good against Cleveland, but it is Cleveland. Rookie quarterback looked tremendous. Again, it's Cleveland. What do you do here now? I've gone back and forth in this game. I'll take Chicago just because they're home and Philadelphia's starting a rookie quarterback, first road game. So I'm gonna take a shot at the Bears. Listen, if you like the Eagles, again, this is a toss-up type of game. But I'm gonna go with the Bears, home, Monday night, Eagles, rookie quarterback, first start on the road in Chicago. I'll take a shot with the Bears. I'm not all in love with that pick, but I got to pick somebody. I'll take the Bears there. So that is pick number 16. That is your NFL picks for this week. I'll tell you, the picks are hard again. They are very hard. A lot of evenly matched games. A lot of tough games. I was 8-4 straight up against the spread last week. Cannot complain about that at all. We'll see if I can match that this week. All right, on to college football we go. Last week was an atrocious week in college football. There were no good games. There was nothing to watch. I watched a little bit of Arkansas beating TCU. That game was all right. Of course, the game from Bristol Speedway, the 150,000 in Tennessee, that was a novelty game. There wasn't much else going on in college football. There really wasn't. But I have a lot of picks for you this week because there are a lot of decent games. There are about 9 decent games at least that I counted, so let's go through them now. Florida State -2 at Louisville. I believe this is a high noon game on Saturday. Florida State 2-0 beat Ole Miss and Charleston Southern. Louisville 2-0 beat Syracuse, and Charlotte put up 70 and 62 points combined. Don't know what the over and under is on this game yet, but I would pick this game over. It's a very, very tough game, but I trust Florida State more than Louisville. I don't know if Louisville's defense is ready for this quite yet. Louisville will get their points, but can their defense do anything against a tough Florida State team? Florida State finds ways to win. They always come back and win. They're more seasoned. Louisville will put on a show here at home. They'll score some points, but in the end, Florida State rallies and clips them by 3 points. I like Florida State -2 over Louisville down in Louisville. That's pick number 1. Pick number 2, let's go to Lincoln, Nebraska, where the Nebraska Cornhuskers are -3 against the Oregon Ducks. Nebraska 2-0 beat Fresno and Wyoming. Ho-hum. Oregon 2-0 beat UC Davis and Virginia. I mean, again, these two teams have not played anyone good. I am not a big fan of Oregon. I just don't like their defense. I don't like their defense on the road. Now listen, Nebraska is not what they once were. They had their glory days years ago. They haven't got back to that. But they are still home in Lincoln. I think Nebraska will be more physical with Oregon. Oregon, when they play a physical team, always wilts. I know Oregon can score some points and fool you a little bit, but they're not good in the trenches. I think Nebraska wins this game in the trenches at home in Lincoln. Don't trust Oregon on the road, especially at defense. I'll take Nebraska at home -3 against Oregon. It's pick number 2. Pick number 3. Let's go out to BYU with UCLA Bruins on -3 against the BYU Cougars. Both teams 1-1. UCLA had a tough overtime loss to Texas A&M 2 weeks ago. BYU had a very tough loss to Utah this past week. I know BYU is a tough place to play, and that is a gorgeous stadium. The mountains in the back are to die for. You ever get out to BYU, you will not regret it. That is a beautiful stadium, and the mountains in the background are just picturesque. When I look at these two teams, I think UCLA can score and BYU can't. BYU, I don't think, has broken 20 the first 2 weeks of the season. Their offense cannot move the ball from here to there, and I know UCLA can put up points. So I don't think BYU, even though they're at home, can put up enough points to win this game. I think UCLA has too much firepower for them. I'll take UCLA -3 at BYU. That's pick number 3. Pick number 4, let's go to South Bend, Indiana, where Notre Dame is home, -8 against Michigan State. Big rivalry game. Notre Dame 1-1. Lost the heartbreaker to Texas, beat Nevada last week. Michigan State 1-0, did not look all that impressive against Furman 2 weeks ago. Had the week off last week. I think Notre Dame is better, but this series is always close. This series is always close. The games are very wild. The games come down to the end. I think Notre Dame is going to win, but 8 to me is a little high. I think Michigan State is going to play better here than they played in week 1 against Furman. Notre Dame's another one of these teams. Against good teams, they don't blow you out. I mean, very rarely will Notre Dame blow out a really good team. Games usually come down to the end. This should be a hard-hitting, physical-type game in South Bend. It's a very good game to watch. I'll take a shot with Michigan State here, +8, just because of the history of this rivalry. The games are usually close. I do think Notre Dame will win, but I will take Michigan State +8. That's pick number 4. Pick number 5, let's go out to Norman, Oklahoma. Very good game here. The Ohio State Buckeyes are -2.5 at the Oklahoma Sooners. Ohio State 2-0, have played nobody. Oklahoma 1-1, lost to Houston, then beat Louisiana Monroe. Very rarely does Oklahoma get a big team from the Big Ten coming into their stadium. Oklahoma's big rival is Texas. They play at a neutral field. Very rarely does Oklahoma get an opponent like this come to Norman. Oklahoma doesn't lose too many home games. I think Ohio State's better, but I think Oklahoma is going to be the more desperate team. Oklahoma has a loss already. If they lose again, I think they're going to be out of that Final Four playoff discussion already. I mean, a lot of people say no, but it's going to be tough to come back from 2 losses this early in the year. I mean, so I think Oklahoma has to be desperate here. I think they're going to be on fire at home. I think Ohio State on neutral field beats them, but here in Norman, a desperate Sooner team with a loss, I think their whole season is going to ride on this game. They lose this game, their season could be over. To me, I think Oklahoma is going to be the more desperate team at home. I like Oklahoma at home, plus 2.5 against Ohio State. That's a must-watch game. That's pick number 5. Pick number 6, let's go to Auburn, one of my favorite stadiums in all of college football. Well, the Auburn Tigers are minus 3.5 against the Texas A&M Aggies. Auburn 1-1, lost a tough game to Clemson, beat Arkansas State last week. Texas A&M 2-0, beat UCLA and then beat Prairie View 67-0 last week. I don't normally like Texas A&M on the road, but I don't think this is a great Auburn team. And when I watched them against Clemson in week 1, they couldn't move the ball from here to there. I know Texas A&M can score. Texas A&M, to me, has to have a big season. I don't love the coach someone as much as other people do. I think this is an important year for Texas A&M. I'm getting 3.5 points. Texas A&M has the better offense. I don't trust them all that much, but I just don't love this Auburn offense. I watched them against Clemson, and they couldn't move the ball at all. So I'm going to take Texas A&M here, plus 3.5 at Auburn. I think it's a field goal game either way. Auburn could definitely win. Field goal game either way. I'll take the Aggies, plus 3.5 in Auburn. That's pick number 6. Pick number 7. Let's go to Ole Miss. Well, the Alabama Crimson Tide take their number 1 ranking, minus 10.5 at Ole Miss. Bama is 2-0, blew out USC in week 1. Ole Miss 1-1, lost the game to Florida State, a game they had a huge lead. Remember, Ole Miss beat Alabama last year. To me, listen, it's very hard to go against Alabama under any circumstances. But I think Ole Miss is a good team. They're home, and I'm getting 10.5 points. So they don't even have to be all that close in this game. They can still lose by 10, which is double digits, and still cover. I think they already have a loss, Ole Miss. Again, like Oklahoma, they're going to be desperate here. They're getting 10.5 at home. You can't expect Alabama to blow out every team every week, especially on the road. I mean, they can win by 10 here, which is a nice, comfortable win and still not cover. I'm going to take a shot here and take Ole Miss. I'm going to grab the home field, grab 10.5. I think they can hold it to about 10 points. I think Alabama wins, Ole Miss covers. I'll take Ole Miss plus 10.5. That's pick number 7. Pick number 8, let's go out to the farm in Stanford, where Stanford is minus 9 over USC. Stanford 1-0, beat Kansas State 2 weeks ago. USC 1-1, got bombed by Alabama 2 weeks ago and looked bad doing it. I think this spread is too high. 9 points is not showing USC any respect at all. Now, to me, USC has got to show some pride here. 2 weeks ago, they got plastered by Alabama. The spread tells me that people think they're going to get plastered again. Stanford beat K-State a couple weeks ago, but they only beat them by about 13. I think USC has talent. I really do. And I think this spread is too high. I know it's never easy to go to the farm and win, and McCaffrey's great for Stanford, but this is a big rivalry. I don't think Stanford is 9 points better than USC's talent. I just don't think it. I think they'll be closer than that. I will take USC plus 9 against Stanford at the farm to at least keep it close. USC, show some pride. You got embarrassed by Alabama. Do not get embarrassed here again. That's pick number 8. Pick number 9, final pick. This is a strange game. The Miami Hurricanes, who are in the top 25, by the way, are minus 3.5 at Appalachian State. When is the last time Miami's played at Appalachian State? As a matter of fact, has Appalachian State ever hosted a game like this? I heard Miami's travel schedule for this. It's going to be hard for Miami just to get to Appalachian State, North Carolina. They got to take a smaller plane because the airport there can't accommodate a big plane. Then they got to stay like 20 minutes away from where they play. It's very complicated to get to Appalachian State. Miami's 2-0. They look pretty good in their first 2 games, but they played no one. Appalachian State 1-1. Remember, they almost beat Tennessee in week 1. Tennessee rallied to win that game. Remember, Appalachian State is famous for beating Michigan years ago. That's all fine and good. The spread's only 3.5 here. I know Appalachian State is a good little program, and they can scare you. To me, Miami's got to win this game. If you're the Miami Hurricanes, You have to beat Appalachian State by more than 3.5 points. I know the game's at Appalachian State. Come on. This is the University of Miami. They go to bigger and better stadiums than this, like Florida State and Florida and Clemson. You're telling me they can't handle Appalachian State? I like Appalachian State. They're a very respectable, good program. They've done some great things, with that team. I think Miami's got to have the better talent here. So I'm going to take, I know a lot of people picked App State in this game to win outright. I'm going to take Miami here minus 3.5. I think Miami just has more talent. So pick number 9, Miami minus 3.5 at Appalachian State. That is my final pick for college football. One other game I didn't pick you might want to keep your eye on. Thursday night, Houston at Cincinnati. Houston has a chance to go undefeated this year. This is a tough game for them. They play on Thursday at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a tough team at home. Houston's quarterback coming off an injury. Keep an eye on that game. Houston could go undefeated, but this could be a tough road game for them. Didn't pick that game, but keep an eye on that game. So those are your picks for week number 2 in the NFL and week number 3 in college football. Like I said, I was 8-4 straight up against the spread last week. Can't complain about that. I hope I can do at least as good as that this week, if not better. You guys, thanks as always for your support. Thanks for all the messages. You guys stay happy, healthy, and safe. Enjoy the games. Pick a lot of winners. Make a lot of money. I'll talk to you guys next Tuesday. Take care.